Hi, and welcome back to the Green Onion. Again, my name is Jay. I hope you all are very, very well. So for today's topic, we're going to be discussing weight and weight management. Because this is a larger topic and there's a lot of things to cover, we're going to be breaking this down into multiple videos, probably 3 or more. For our first video, we're going to be covering the misconceptions of weight loss. Now, there's a lot of you out there that have likely heard of some of these programs and products like the Nordic Track, Skinny Green Coffee Beans, Atkins Diet. And some of those you may have already tried. This may be something that you've made an attempt at and not had a lot of success. And there's a lot of other products out there. The issue with these products and how they're presented, it can be not only harmful but to some degree toxic in a way. And I'll cover that in a little bit here. But for the most part, you may have tried multiple attempts with multiple different products and regimens and just not found success, something that is getting you the desired results. Well, guess what? You're actually in the same boat as the vast majority of the population. There are a lot of people that are struggling with body image and weight management in general. And it's not really surprising because of this sort of mentality that there's this mold that everyone's supposed to fit into, that one size fits all solution to problems that just does not exist. That's just not reality. We are very, very complex organisms. People are very, very different. And maybe some of you out there could be even either aware that they have this going on in their bodies or not aware that they have certain conditions that are making things infinitely harder or just more challenging to try and achieve those goals just because you haven't had that particular issue or condition addressed. Ranging from things like a thyroid issue could easily be something that's causing that problem. Having poor gut health. The microbiome of your gut is super important. If you don't take care of your gut, it's not going to take care of you. Insulin resistance. So if you have some kind of issue with blood glucose, like even diabetic situation, that's going to make things difficult to lose weight. And I mean, there's the mental aspect. There's some degree of the activities that you use to help maintain or help achieve those goals plays a very important factor as well. But there's a lot of factors, and we're very, very complex. We're very, very different person to person. My physiology is going to be extremely different in how I maintain my weight versus how you achieve your goals. And the reason why I was saying earlier why it's harmful how they promote these products and it can be to some degree toxic is because in a lot of these situations, it's very, very unrealistic. But it puts out this image so strongly that for a lot of people, especially in situations where they've made multiple attempts, it's almost like you visualize yourself as that person who's achieved the results. So you can almost see yourself that way. So then you start to invest. Like these companies, they know that eventually a lot of people will become desperate, and they prey upon that nature. So they throw out these things that are very appealing. But the kind of behind the scenes things that are happening is very different. And that's some of the information I'm going to give to you today. For example, I recently spoke with a female bodybuilder. Now this is somebody that actually worked in not only in the bodybuilding industry, but in advertising. And she made me aware after just a few questions and a bit of an interview, that what's actually happening behind the scenes is really disturbing. Because you see these before and after photos for a lot of products. What she made me aware is that because of the nature of bodybuilding, you have these phases that they go through for their career. They have a bulking period during their kind of off time, and then they cut and trim down before competitions. Well, they use these bodybuilders in their natural phases with a before during their bulking period where they look heavy. but their bodies bounce back because they have all this experience. They have all this constant training and regimen that they go through, and their body's on this almost like a tightly wound clock where it goes through these phases naturally. So it's very, very easy for them to go from that bulking period down to that trim or cut, and they use those before and after photos from those people. In a way, you can kind of understand it that they don't really want to have somebody bouncing weight between being very heavy to being very thin, and especially if they're using the same type of people. But these are people who do this for a living. That's part of how they achieve their goals, as they go through this cycle. So that's just one example of kind of like this misleading and false toxic information that it's just not a real picture that's being painted here. So it's not something that you should be beating yourself up over, because really, you're not in the same category, and your physiology is very, very different. You may have, like I mentioned before, underlying conditions that are getting partly in the way here. And it may just be the tools that you've utilized aren't the right tools for you. It may just be a matter of altering or modifying diet, activity, possibly supplementation, stress management. It may just be a matter of doing a few of those things, and then all of a sudden you're in check and you're finding the results are just staggering, mind-blowing, and it's going so fantastic. And then once you get into that mode, it just seems to keep getting better and better. The big thing is try not to fit into a set of rules that is going to work for everyone, because that's just not going to happen. Basically break the rules. Be a bit of a rebel in a sense when it comes to weight loss. Don't believe everything you hear, especially when it comes to your infomercials, advertisements, even social media. Because a lot of the notions out there, especially through social media or friends and family, or possibly even strangers, is very antiquated. They haven't taken the time, like myself and like some other people, some other doctors even, they haven't taken the time to research and find out what's actually happening in the body. They just make these assumptions, and they're old, outdated assumptions. Things like, well, if you just eat the right kind of foods and the right proportions, well, you're golden. Everyone's going to be just fine. So then they have this mentality that a heavy person is just overeating. That's almost never going to be the case. There are going to be some, sure, maybe that is the case. But what's the reason why they're overeating? There's going to always be multiple factors to that equation that they're not factoring in. So really, almost turn a blind eye and ear to those things. Take the time, look into it yourself. Put a little bit of legwork and research. And I'm also going to be giving you a few tips and tricks here, just kind of going back to the basics, mentality, to help you understand a little bit better of how things can work for you, can work for anyone, to help achieve goals and get into that better place and mindset where you want to be. By all means, please click on to the next video in this sequence, and we're going to go over just a few of the tips and tricks that can help get you there. Okay? Talk to you soon. Bye for now.